I think we can begin. Again, a very good morning to everyone who's here. My name is Sandhya Kannan. I'm one of the 10 interns who's studying here at Dakshina Chitra. And as part of our internship in museum management, the 10 interns, have organized our annual exhibit, which is called Mayura, a celebration of the peacock. This exhibit has been put up here at Kadambari Gallery in Dakshin Chitra, and it's on from 2nd April to 30th April. This exhibition highlights stories about the peacock in Indian history, folklore, music, religion, and popular culture. We've also traced how the bird has found its way into motifs since the 19th century. Peacock motifs are found on several objects, from lamps to plates and jewelry and textiles. So we've collected objects from Dakshin Chitra's collection, and they're all on display here at the museum. We've also created several thematic installations to accompany the objects. So the exhibition is a collection of the objects and the installations. We've also organized a few online and offline workshops and talks. And today is the first talk that we've organized. And we're very happy to introduce the topic and the resource person for the day. So today's talk is Evolution of Design, a look at textiles from Tamil Nadu. And our resource person is Bessie Cecil. Now, ma'am has a very close connection to Dakshin Chitra, so we're very, very happy that we have her here today to do this talk. So Bessie Cecil is a textile researcher and conservationist. She has a doctorate in textile design and textile conservation and is based in Chennai. Her project at the Decorative Arts Department is to primarily research the effect that the river has on the textile industry, with a special focus on the Ganges and its influence on the weaving of the brocade sari of Banaras. So I request all the participants to keep yourselves on mute and to turn off your video. We'll have a presentation by ma'am, and at the end of it, we'll have a Q&A session. So you can unmute yourselves and ask your question, or you can type your questions into the chat and we'll relay them to ma'am. So we'll have a question and answer session towards the end of the talk. The talk is from 11 to 12. So yes, thank you. And I pass it on to Bessie ma'am.
Good morning. Thank you, Sandhya, for that introduction. Dakshin Chitra, again, thank you very much for giving me this platform to talk about this, topic. Actually, the topic is pretty, I don't know how to say it's interesting, but if I get into it, it might get boring also, It's a topic we are going to be talking about design, this evolved. So, what I decided was to bring in a bit of history and a bit of history. And I'm going to be focusing on not only the design, but what are the factors that affected the design. So it will not be a typical classroom. I will try not to make it very, a classroom presentation. And I find this is pretty challenging for this subject, pretty challenging for me to, take it in a very interesting way. But anyway, here I am, and I'm going to do my best. I don't know how long this presentation, I will not, keep it long, because I've got pretty, good number of slides that I wanted to share. And earlier, the topic that was given was Evolution of Design, a look at textiles from South India. Then eventually, when we started working, I felt, it's better I focus on Tamil Nadu. And when I started working on Tamil Nadu, then I realized it's much better I take historical references, and particularly from the Watson volume. And I'll be telling what is the Watson volume, because I feel it's very interesting. So when I decided I'll be talking about what is Watson volume, and I'm going to be giving a lot of, little bit of information along with the design, how it evolved. And the slide, I wanted to talk about the slide here. There is a peacock, and it's apparently from 18th, 19th century. This is from a textile, Kodali Karpur. And I think this is one of the oldest mile, or the peacock on a textile that I was able to find out from the museum collections. And this is from Philadelphia Museum of Art. And apparently this is my PhD subject. So with this note, I would like to start. And it is, designs. We are talking designs. So what are the factors or how the designs method of bringing in design? Like I said, I don't know how many of you all are from textile background, but I'm sure everybody has something on them, and so just try to understand whatever you're wearing, what category it falls into. First, when I talk about texture, I will be going back and forth with the slide because I'm not too good with slides. And with online, I'm always little disoriented. So you kindly bear with me when it comes to that. So I'm going to be focusing more today on the woven part, but I would like to talk about the rest of the texture or resist dyed, printed, painted, embroidery, everything from Tamil Nadu. So here, this is a slide which I would like to show. It's a company painting. And I'm going to relate this with the texture. So how am I going to relate this with the texture? See, India is known for cotton. And cotton, meaning it's not the BT cotton or a hybrid cotton. We had our own native variety, indigenous variety of cotton. And everywhere, wherever, meaning a place, so for example, say if it is Salem or Erode or Tanjavur or Kumbakonam, wherever it is, there was a kind of cotton that grew there. According to the climate, and they call it as edaphic nature, that is the nature of the soil, the quality of the fiber varies. Like how we talk about organic food and, chemical food, how things vary. Similarly, here also, the texture, meaning the staple meaning, I will not go into it. This cotton that grows everywhere, it has a different character. And character comes in particularly when they do the manual work, meaning the spinning. Spinning, it's like, you see here, there's a lady who's rotating. That is a part where they remove the seed. And there's the other person with a bow kind of a thing, who's trying to beat it. They soften the silk and, cotton, and they parallel it. And then you see a lady with the charka, the other painting, where she does the spinning. So all these are the pre-loom processes in one of the slides, and one is the pre-spinning, processes. So when this is done manually, how we make sambar or rasam from house to house, it varies no matter what. The sambar or anything you prepare varies. So similarly here also, when they do the weaving, meaning spinning, it's all done by hand. They apply a bit of pressure and they draw it in certain, speed. So all that affects the character. So that character, basically, when you weave the fabric, it becomes the texture. So that's what I mean by saying the texture. Initially, how the design evolved, meaning basically it started with the texture, the feel of the fabric. Next, what happens? This is a very interesting slide. I thought, I'll just show. And so this is the very first, meaning texture comes first. And the next, I would, woven. How did they weave? What happens? So here is a muslin fabric. This is from Arani. They say after West Bengal, not West Bengal, Bengal, the undivided Bengal. Arani, everybody, I'm sure everybody knows, it's near Chennai. It's 80 kilometers from here, 100 kilometers from here. And there, the fine, the cotton grew, which they were able to make fine muslin. So the craftsmanship, the quality of cotton, everything was there. Today, everybody will associate Arani to lightweight silk, but not fine cotton in our country. So this is how the texture has it. So when the next thing is in weaving, there are, once, I'm stammering or I'm little slow because I don't want to get into too much of technical data. So I'm trying to understand. Just give me a minute or two to get into the flow. And so, in designing a textile, like I said, oven designs, again, there are many categories. So we will not go into the category because that's again very technical. Then there is printing. You must have heard of block printing. There are roller printing. That is also, if I go anything deep into it, it's a subject in itself. So I will touch upon basic techniques. So one is the texture, one is the woven design, one is the printing, one is the painting, and next is the embroidery. So what happens in our country, weaving design, in our country, printing and painting was very, very advanced. Painting was very, very advanced. And here in Tamil Nadu, we were known for it. We were, the painted textiles, when I say painted textiles, it's not the popular word kalamkari from Sri Kalahasti. No, I'm not talking about that. I will come to the slide much later because I put it in the last. So I'll go to it. And I'll show you it's nothing to do with Kalahasti or Masulipatnam. No, we are talking particularly about Tamil Nadu, very focused on the subject. So we had an excellent way of, technique and using the colors. We were very good at it. And we basically traded all these printed and painted textiles. Woven textiles, of course, there were local consumption. We did export also. So what happened initially, the fabric, I'm not going, there is an era post 16th century, only textile. We have to understand, we were living in a princely state then. So everywhere there is their own system of hierarchy. People were allowed to wear, people were not to wear, and there is scarcity of clothes. And the climatic condition doesn't allow for elaborate or, layered or way of dressing like how we do today. So it was minimal. And the design also was minimal. And the fabric is also coarse and white. And, meaning when I say white, it's undyed. And it was majorly cotton. And like I said earlier, India is known for cotton. And we were the one who really knew how to color the cotton fabric. The synthetic dye was introduced around 1880s. It starts from then. So prior to that, whatever we are seeing here, the samples are from 1850s that was collected in the Victoria and Albert Museum. Now it's Victoria and Albert. And now then it was Indian Museum, London. I think South Kensington. These were collected for an exhibition in 1850s, and eventually these were made into 18 volumes of 700 swatches, textile swatches, and 20 sets each. In the year 1866, these were converted into these, in the archival format, it was brought out. So that is what I'm sharing. And this collection is particularly taken from the Victoria and Albert Museum. And there are other sets which is available even in India as well as in few places, so few museums in UK. Here, like I said, before 1880s, it was all natural dyes. Natural dyes meaning in South India, it is not the animal source, but it is the plant source. So it is basically from the roots and the stems or the root bark, or the flowers, we extracted the dye. So again, extracting the dye from nature, that is plants, and fixing onto cotton is an art and craft that we mastered in the world. So the world came to us for textile trade. We boomed. We really did very well in textile because of cotton and the color. So in this series, we are going to be, again, I'm going to be limiting to a time period when with the available historical evidence from mid 19th century. That is the time I'm going to be talking about. Hypothetically, I can be talking so much. I'm not taking any reference from the sculpture or the mural. I'm talking, this presentation is based on the materials evidence that is available from the museums. And here we see undyed fine muslin. Then we know how to color. Coloring is an expensive and a time-consuming process. So often what they did was a white with a simple stripes. At the end, the border area alone, they use the colors. Like I said, it's expensive, it's time consuming. Again, a bit of very interesting information is silk has got a very good affinity towards natural dye, not like cotton. Cotton, we have to really, it's a lot of process, but whereas silk, it is comparatively very simple. What they did here was, if you read here, border silk and of different colors. So what they did is they dyed the silk and they incorporated the silk. These were the simple stripes they evolved with, from plain fabric to simple stripes. And then they, had the silk incorporated. Then what they did, they had the dyed fabric. And, this is what is so boring, I feel. Basically, our textile tradition was solid and stripes, and how they, various types of stripes we see, and the combination of colors we see here. And mind it, when you see each and every sample here, it is all natural dye. Today, we can't even think of getting this red or this bright orangish yellow. It is all lost. We have lost this craft completely. And here again, the muslin. So simple checks. Here we see all the stripes. And now we have the checks. So we have the self checks and a broad check, and it's all done in, Mylapore and Pulicat. And again, how you see the stripes coming end to end. So basically, you see the reference. They use the word Kal Iringina Kattam. In one of the Pudupavu series, they have mentioned this word, Kal Iringina Kattam, meaning when you see here, the check stops in the body area only, it doesn't come to the border area. Whereas here, it goes till the end. So they call it as Kal Iringina Kattam. So basically now, the simple stripes and the simple checks, and again, they use a combination of, the different side of borders. Again, you see cotton and silk combinations here. And then we have an interesting class, and this is called the extra warp design. When I say, when you weave a fabric, everybody knows everybody is wearing something, and you just hold it and see. Just take 1 inch by 1 inch, you will have number of threads in it. So one is the warp wise. If there is 50 threads, weft wise, say if it is 50 threads, apart from this 50-50, if we are using 10 threads to make a design, it's called the extra warp or extra weft. So basically, if you're using the warp wise, it's called extra warp. Here it is the extra warp lengthwise, you see by the sides. And if you're using weft wise, I'll come to that. I'll show that also. It's called the extra weft. Here, this is one of the oldest design element, which is repeatedly found in many across Tamil Nadu. And very interestingly enough, this design, even today in Salem, the Salem Venpattu, they weave this Mailkan or Kuilkan design. Again, it relates so much with your topic. The Mailkan designs were one of the oldest designs. Here also you see a variation, how the extra warp is used in the border area, then how it comes into the body area also. Again, this is the Mailkan that is being used. Again, here, the stripes, you see the extra work here. And here there is a magenta or a purplish kind of a sari. Can anybody unmute and say, what this body checks design, what is it called? And is it woven today? And if it is woven today, where it is woven? Correct. Thank you for saying that. And do you find still the same use of material there, or do you think it's different?
Is it different, ma'am?
Different meaning, can you say what material they've used? These days, what they are using?
They are using jari.
Thank you for saying that. I wanted that word zari out. Thank you very, very much. Can I have your name, please?
I'm Satish.
Thank you, Satish. Okay, zari. Today we see, so this is one of the very popular designs which has been there for a very long time. And one of the very interesting observation that I had was zari. Zari is like I said, at this period, 1850s, 1880s, everything is manually made. Everything is from the nature. Everything, most of them are indigenous. And here in the place of zari, you see the use of white silk or the yellow silk. Let's go back and see. Here you see. Here you see. Yeah. So it is in the place of zari, we predominantly had silk dyed of yellow or white. It was used so that, because designing is an elaborate process. We didn't have the technology what we have today. They didn't have so many things they didn't have, and it is expensive. So it has to stand out. If it has to stand out, white and yellow was the best thing they could think of. Even today we have the silver zari or the gold zari happening. So this design is one of the oldest, and how the material was used, and we see the material transition also eventually. Here here you see the buttas in the body. So these buttas are called the extra weft. So here you see the white here, and one is in the zari. So what is zari? I want to, talk about zari, how it was manually made. And today we all, know about zari. We all have saris or, dhotis or anything of zari. Zari meaning the metal thread. And zari, if you go to the dictionary, zar, they say gold. This I in fact spoke in a presentation in Dakshin Chitra. But then I would like to repeat it again. They say it is a Persian word, but then I doubt if it is Persian, because we really have to look into our, vocabularies or nomenclature. We really didn't record it. And it's high time we really, do a bit of research and think out of box and, understand the terminologies that are being used. Zari, I have a feeling it's a Tamil word from sarighu, which is the dry leaf. It looks like, if you see the dry leaf, which is golden yellowish color, and the zari, it's almost the same. So probably the word zari came from sarighu. I don't know. I am just not able to accept it's a Persian word. Anyway, that apart. So the zari, today it is all machine made. But at that, the sample which you're seeing here, or the sample which I showed at the title page, there is use of silver zari there. Here it is a gold zari. It is manually made. How it is made, it's actually labor intensive. What they do is a bar of your little finger size of silver, they take it, and they take the gold leaf, wrap around it, they heat it and beat it, heat it and they beat it. Heat it, beat it, so they take it to so this gold completely mixes with the silver. Then what they do is they pass through a roller. the roller which is behind. These photographs are from 1909. This photograph I took from the book Monograph on Tinsel and Wire Making in Madras Presidency. Sorry, because the Madras Presidency didn't document the photograph. We have the Madras Presidency photos are this. This is done by the Kuvam side. So I thought it's interesting to share these photos. So they have a roller. They draw this roller, meaning they don't draw it flat. This little finger size of silver is beaten, and then it is taken through a roller. Again, it is in the round shape only. Then what they do is they draw through. You see multiple holes. They call it a spinneret, and they draw the silver. You see the thicker side on the other side, and when they the plier holding and it is drawing, so it comes the thinner. The size is thinner. So multiple times they draw through these plates until it's the size of the hair. Here you see the people drawing. There is 2 rollers you see. And once it becomes to that size, again, they have smaller spinnerets, which they take from one, what do you say, it's wound around a spindle or whatever, and it's taken to the other. And then they start beating it. There is, they flatten this hair like, thickness, they flatten with the wooden mallet, they flatten it. Once they flatten it, what they do it, on a core silk thread, they wind it around it. So it's a process which takes its own time, and we have references saying that the zamindars or the kings or traders, they had their own goldsmith who made the zari. I don't know if they call them as goldsmith, but there are references saying that they had their own workshop. So they are given like this many grams of gold, this many grams of silver, they weigh it and they give it, and it is weighed and it is taken back. And here, just imagine for a sari how much of time it would take and how many people are involved in making this. So until 1880s, again, we see these 1885, in fact, we see the zari was predominantly made by hand, and it was confined to certain family or community or, but not for everybody. It was not available. And I find the first record in 1885 saying that the imported metal threads or zari threads, not the zari threads, metal threads are not of that quality, what they make it in the native process. Native process seems to be very superior than the imported. So 1885, they start importing. So this comes from Austria, majorly from Lyon, then Austria and Levant, and Germany. Here, from these countries, they start importing zari. Now, zari is what was confined to a particular community or a particular class or particular family was available for everybody for a much cheaper price and much cheaper price, and people start, I don't know, in Tamil Nadu, though we find the reference in 1885, I still find majorly it was handmade only in the 1900s, or 1890s. After that only we see a shift. And today what we call it as the major Kanchipuram area, like I said, once was a major cotton weaving center, this one. It's all done in Kanchipuram, a major cotton weaving center. And the 1909 record, that is the monograph, Tinsel and Wire Making of Madras Presidency, there they don't mention Kanchipuram as a major weaving center, but Edgar Thurston, he mentions that that is in 1899, he mentions Kanchipuram is one of the major hub where they weave silk. So probably that is the time Kanchipuram took up silk weaving. So here again, it's very interesting. I'm going to digress a little bit from these slides. The Kanchipuram, what happens in Kanchipuram is, again, they were weaving, the stripes or checks, or then probably the extra weft. The use of zari, I don't think so. I couldn't find any historical pieces of silk in the museums. Then when they were able to buy zari off the market, they started majorly copying the Benares designs. They didn't have anything on their own. And it took a long time for them to have something, or today how we know a Kanjivaram tradition. It took a long time from then. So only this bit of information I wanted to talk. I don't want to, completely digress. So Kanchipuram is a pretty, 100, 120, 30 years old tradition that has become very, very popular, and which has a solid character. That's again, the quality of the silk is so good. So why the silk is good? Because here again, the texture comes into play in Kanjivaram. Because when you buy the silk, there are a few processes that you have to do it, washing or degumming or whatever. So in this process, the water has certain minerals which strengthens or weakens the fiber. Apparently, the Pala River is considered to be very, very good. I don't have any scientific data, but it is the popular say, and we see the material as well. So the silk process from the Pala River was able to withstand the further processing of twisting, and it's all technical again. So which eventually gives a heavy heavy weight and a very good texture of the fabric once it is woven. So with that, I will leave the Kanjivaram bit. And again, so what was the zari manually that was made was woven into beautiful, fabrics or sari. Here we see a sari, and this sari is from Tanjavur, I think. Tanjavur. So today, if we say, everybody, the minute they see, they will relate it to people who knows about textile, they will relate to Paitani sari, but no, this is done in Tanjavur, and this was done with the zari. Actually, when you see the saris that are woven with handmade zari and the machine-made zari, it's very easily, you can differentiate it. And that comes when you actually look into many textiles, and when you study the character of the zari, you will come to know it. And this is one of the sari where they have used the handmade zari. Of course, it is 1850s, and And here again, the similar kind of silk gauze we find in Banaras also they make, but this was done in Trichy. And Trichy, today we can't even relate we did such things. And these are beautiful saris. Again, this is again the Victoria and Albert collection, Tanjavur. And this also is from Tanjavur. And here again, this is the next class of woven design. See now in weaving itself, we have come from the plains to the stripes, to the checks, and to the extra warp and the extra weft, then using of the zari. And now here is a special class of textiles, which is called the Kinkar, which was done in Trichy again. And how did they do it? This is how they did it traditionally. There were two weavers and one sits opposite. And this photograph, I was blessed enough to, take this photograph or witness what was happening in Hyderabad. Surya Bose Hassan's, she's no more, but one of highly respected and who really reached out to the downtrodden through textile craft, particularly women. And she did the traditional method. She wanted to keep it alive, and she had few looms where they did the weaving in the old methods. And this is closed down. I think 1 or 2 years back, they completely closed down after her passing away. And here we see two people, one on the loom, one sitting behind, front, just opposite. So this is how these were made. Because this is all over pattern, this is technical. I will not go into the technical details, but it's good to know something like this was existing. This is how we did the weaving, making these designs in Tanjavur. Now, Tanjavur or Trichy, now it's not made. And here, one more character to this is they usually, the weaving, there are three primary weaves or basic weaves. We call it as plain, twill, and satin. Everybody knows satin fabric, where one side is glossy and the other side is dull. So this is that kind of, the satin, and you see the motif. And this is a kind of, they used to call it as Naksha loom. And this is how these fabrics were woven. And these are mushrooms. That is Kinkar, and this is mushroom. Mushroom is a class of fabric where they had combination of silk as well as cotton. So basically, the warp was the silk and the weft was the cotton. You can't see the weft. The idea is the body, the reverse side, which will be, what is mostly visible will be the cotton, and the silk is all, on one side, the face of it. So it is said, Muslims were not allowed to wear anything from the animal fiber. And so they came up with this, fabric called mushroom. Mushroom means permitted to wear. So one side is whatever touches the body is basically cotton. The other side is silk, which doesn't touch the body. And here again, they have used the extra warp design, advanced way of weaving. Today, mushroom is woven in Patan, Gujarat. In South, we are not weaving anymore. I think 1 or 2 weavers, when we request, they are doing it, but I don't know. It's safe to say we are not weaving this anymore here. And the next class is called, again, this is weaving, but you see the design. There is no extra warp or extra weft. Everybody knows, I'm sure everybody will say ikat, So basically, this is the warp tie-dye. And this was again done in Trichy. And now, I think Ayampete, we still do it. In the lungis, we still have it. So this is how they do the tying, and then they weave it. And here we see the Muthukatam again incorporating the warp design, warp tie-dye. And here the weft tie-dye is there. And here again, the tie-dye in mushroom. So see how many, this is just plain. Here, along with the extra warp and extra weft, they have combined. Here, it is with the mushroom, silk and cotton, and it's only silk is tie-dyed. And how visually it is so different. And when you touch, it is entirely different. The photographs really doesn't do justice to Indian handlooms. And that is very sad. And, there are a few books which are with the samples, and apparently we steal all the samples, When this Watson volume, what you're seeing, we have a complete volume in the government museum, and only the pages are there, no samples are there, which is very, very sad. And I think it's in 1909, somebody complains, I think Havel complains, half the samples are not even there. Now it is like, they have 6 samples out of 700 samples they have in the volume. So anyway, this is again, we're seeing this. This is the popular leheria that we see in Rajasthan. This was actually done at one point in Madras. They say Madras, but I don't know if it is Madras. Probably it's a bazaar. Probably it was done. today we don't even have of any trace of we doing such fabrics in Tamil Nadu. And again, this is very, very interesting. Everybody says chungudi. So this is real chungudi, real chungudi. What we have in the market or whatever the geographical indication it was awarded, it is all not real chungudi. And I'm very sorry to say that. How we compromise our own heritage is very sad, actually. And I don't want to lament on that, but this is very interesting because of the red. Madurai is known for the red. And we have elaborate, discussion about the Westerners who came here and who tried to record different dyeing methods. They emphasize on Madurai. And Madurai, and there is a particular plant that grows on the foothills of Alagar Malai. And the Vaigai water has a, very, very, the dyeing comes out very rich. It's very good. So they used to say, or maybe it is the fact, I don't know, but then we have the material though. So, it's not personally my opinion, the material evidence. It is said from Gujarat, the textile was tied and it was sent to Madurai for dyeing. And then again, it was sent back to them. So this is, that class of textile which came from Gujarat, and it was dyed here in Madurai, and it was taken back. This is in the Victoria and Albert Museum collection. And these are, again, this is just one color. This is multiple colors, how they have done it. And this is something, again, we lost. And until here, it is all Till here, it is the oven category, and how the tie-dye and the oven category. Then here, once the fabric is woven, then it is the decorative element comes in. Here also is the fabric, and here this is the printing. Again, if I see the record, this is from 1850s again. This is a sample, but the written evidence again we have a Watson volume also has this. It's recorded as printing, and again we see from 1885 to 1888. There's this E.B. Havel, when he took up industrial travel. He records almost everywhere in Tamil Nadu, printing and painting was happening. Printing and painting, both. Today, printing means, the block printing, and nowhere in Tamil Nadu it exists. Henceforth, whatever I'm going to show, I think we have lost everything. This is the popular word, again, popularly known as the chins. And here, this is printed ones, but hand-painted ones also we have, which we lost. And these are the hand-painted textiles. South India, we did such wonderful painting. It's very sad that even in our museums, we don't have such pieces in any of the Indian museums. Of course, there are a few private collections. The Tapi collection is very, very rich. And in India, and I think one or two people, the private collectors, they have. This is from Madurai. Again, you see the pinkish red on the background. And this is again at the Victoria and Albert Museum. They did a dye analysis of this also. And the fine drawing, what we today, call it as batik, meaning that white lines doing with the wax is called, actually we have a Tamil word called melugalithu. Batik is an Indonesian term that they use it, but we had the word melugalithu, and we lost that completely out of our vocabulary. And see, what happens when we use our local term, it becomes a foreign, somebody takes it and they master it, and it becomes theirs. Today, batik is known, people, the minute you say batik, they relate to Indonesia. But we were the masters. They learned it from us because we traded. And that's a different thing. I don't want to get into that again. I'll limit to this only. So this is something, again, we lost it. And these are samples again from Kumbakonam region. And this is the textile which I was telling. I remember the painted textiles from Tallahassee. No, even we had painted textile, which are the ceremonial hangings. And this was done in Madurai. And again, this is in Victoria. I think they collected some 6 or 7 samples they have, I think, from Madurai. And you see the Tamil text, here, written here. And these Tamil texts, again, they have done it using the resist process, which we lost it again. And this is again a class of textile, which we call it as, now we have covered in the weaving, a whole range we covered, how designs, how we evolved. And then we saw the warp tie-dye or weft tie-dye, then the printed and the painting, and now the embroidery. Here you see in this green color, it's the beetle wing. And apparently Chennai, Madras was very, very, they had a rich tradition in embroidery. Amazing collections are there in the Watsons. And today, I think even today, we have this tradition, Sri Perambuttur. I think there's a whole lot of community. We haven't studied much on embroidery. I think it is important that we look into, this section before we lose it completely. And a lot of work for many years, because there is a person called Dade Khan. He has been recorded in many of the historical records, that meaning 1900s. We see his name repeatedly coming, and he was really, really doing a very good business on embroidery. And see the work. It's all done in Madras. And here, again, you see the mile here. Yeah, this is when the zari was imported. The design, how lavishly we started using the zari. How lavishly we started using the zari. And you see the mile, and you see the Banaras influence also. Probably it's a transition period and all this. I don't know how to say, but then, yeah, we see mile in every sari. And this is again the photograph which I took from the, tinsel and wire making of tinsel and wire in the Madras Presidency. Tinsel and wire is a zari making industry. And they, the tinsel is again all the, you see. All the what do you say, the chumkies or sequins that were used, all comes under the tinsel category. And here also there is mile here. I didn't intend to look out for mile, but whatever was there in the monograph had the mile patterns in every, every design that they had. Not bad. I ran through every slide. And yeah, today you see everybody knows what the scenario is. So the major things that really, what I see affected the evolution of the design is the color. From natural color, there was a shift to synthetic colors. Then the material, where what was done by hand, again, that was machine made. For example, let's just stick to the zari. What was handmade came to the machine made thing. And the availability of material, how it can change the tradition, what was plain and what is, how elaborately we started designing. That was because of availability of material plus the advancement of the technology, where 2 people or 3 people were sitting and doing the work. It was very simplified in the early 1900s when the jacquard came into the city. In Benares, they say the jacquard. Jacquard is a simple attachment to the loom, which enables to weave complicated design. This is the most simplified definition I can give. because jacquard is a subject in itself. Jacquard or Dobby. Dobby, the simple mechanism. Jacquard is like, you can do real intricate patterns. And what happened is, these advancement of technology, they started replacing all the indigenous method that we have. For what I feel is it is okay because we keep evolving and change is something constant. Only thing, we have to be very, very careful that we do not erase the finest thing which we evolved to be, this a period where we were able to be, because we evolved to come to that point. And we cannot evolve from, not preserving and evolving forward to something, good or bad is not right, I feel, because at some point it has its own identity, which is our country's heritage. And I feel we should not compromise or, or let go our rich tradition. And thank you.
Thank you. That was quite a lot of information packed succinctly into 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So now it's open to the participants, the audience. If you have any questions for ma'am, you can type it into the chat or you can unmute yourselves and ask her yourself. See a few hands raised. Satya sir.
Good morning. I am retired Professor Narayana from Chennai. Excellent presentation on the evolution of these designs of the silk sarees. Now, to the speaker, I would like to have two things. One is that I don't know whether the speaker knows about there are different varieties of the silk production in the market. For example, Tassar silk, bivolten, or multivolten, which is the traditional silk. And is there any texture quality based on the different varieties of silk, madam?
So whatever I saw, we don't have any use of tussar or anything. I'm completely talking based on what I have seen in the collection of the museums. So I didn't see any of the eri, muga or tussar or any of that kind, but the texture of the silk is very different from now to, then. Yes, there is a lot of difference because I see a very good, because naturally it was all hand reeled, sir. So it had its own character. Yes, textural difference are there, sir. That I was able to notice it. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And can I allow one more question? Clarification?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No, regarding the motif or whatever we have the animals or plants which have been actually designed in the silk sarees, actually we have manipulated the structural features of all the animal. For example, the mayur or the peacock, what we have the designs, I do agree, the motif is not the original one. Actually, we actually manipulate for our taste, for our thing. But what is your feeling about that? We change the shape of the things. Don't you think we are just telling that the wrong things to the people or whatever our children, the shape of the animal or plant? What's your opinion on this?
So this is a creative expression because this is very subjective, sir. And I don't think so. This cannot be generalized because this one, what I'm showing, this is like one of the oldest mile design. I was able to get it, but then the kind of details that I see in the abstract representation, like, almost 200 years back, that is amazing. So I don't, to see a real mile, a mile is always there, the nature is there. And this is something for while human is existing in this world, we need something to play with or, keep us occupied. So I think this is just an expression and it is okay, I feel, sir. That's my personal thing, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And the last one, and conservation, actually, I must be very, very thankful to the organizer and actually the presenter about showing about the peacock, importance of the peacock. It is actually the conservation of the peacock. Why we put it in the fabric and other things as a motive, this is actually to conserve the animals. So really thankful to our forefathers in the ancient culture, we have conservation. Thank you very much for allowing me.
Thank you, Professor. Satish has a few questions.
Ma'am, we see that Trichy has also been a cluster of textiles like Jamdani and other things. It's a new info. We knew only Palar cluster and Vaige cluster putting into it. Now only it is confined to Thirubuvanam and Kumbakonam. So what happened to the Trichy cluster of textile weaving, ma'am? Because I see Jamdani over coming there. I see the inspirations coming for many other textiles which are there gone into it. How it got disintegrated and what happened it, ma'am?
I see this is all hypothetically only we can talk, and it's just logical. There's no written record. Everybody keeps lamenting, the Europeans when they came here. We see them recording. They're saying, all the imports and our influence have upset the local production, or they are moving away. They are shifting away, and we should understand the political scenario was entirely different. Today we are united. All the princely states are united. At that point of time, it was all under the princely patronage. So the trade connections or the patronage or the custom, the community, the culture, everything was very different. And what happened, see, there are two eras that we can say market. One is a pre-industrial time, then the post-industrial era, then pre-independence and the post-independence. So in these two scenarios, we have lost, changed, evolved. Everything has happened in this two, particular time period. And what happened? Probably they evolved. Probably there were no buyers. Like many people lament, we don't have buyers. Like what is being done in, see, for example, when you spin it by hand, yes, the quality is superior. So what is the cost of it? One cannot afford. See, today we all are clothed in a way we are clothed because I keep telling this of, technology advancement. Everybody has the rights to, everybody has a wardrobe. Even the simplest person has a wardrobe. But earlier days, 100 years back, that was not the scenario. So in a way, it is good. But at what cost we are, moving ahead, like I said, that is very important. So, in this process of evolution or the industrialization, the post-independence or independence, that time had an impact. I think that is the time we have lost, we have moved and on from the whatever we were doing. So I think Trichy also is the same thing. Yeah, Satish, hope I
Is the Salem cluster, no, ma'am, is the Salem cluster today is an extension of Trichy or it was entirely?
I don't know about that because there is no word as cluster that's been used. One, because every home, everybody's house had almost, as far as, we see is everybody part-time job was weaving. That's what, now you go to Northeast, it's the same. So probably it was the same here. And I don't know if Trichy cluster and no, I don't have an answer to that. No.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, someone's asked in the chat if they can receive the presentation that you've made. I will leave it up to you. Should I send you?
No, this presentation, I need to know. No, I just cannot hand over because this is something, everything, everywhere I acknowledge, where I get the, I don't know. And when I went there, I got the photographs. So I'm little worried. So sure. I'm sorry, but anyway, if you're going to do the presentation, you just let me know. I'll see what I know what can be done.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's been here for this talk. Thank you to our resource person, Bessie Cecil. Tomorrow at the same time from 11 to 12, we have another talk by Professor Satyanarayana. The talk is called The Indian Blue Peafowl, Ecology, Behavior, Threats and Conservation. So that's Bessie. Thank you so much for your talk. We also have Satyanarayana sir who's here as part of our talk. So he's going to be speaking tomorrow from 11 to 12. So if you're interested, it's the same Zoom link. Please come back tomorrow. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to our participants. Thank you for those who asked questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.